Alright, so here's a little game I created. It's called Avoid the Balls. And you'll notice that I have lots of variables going on, and you can follow along with the code underneath this video or just in the video itself here. And you'll notice that kind of my strategy is bx and by and bs is the one ball that's going to be following you, the x, y, and the size of it. The score, which will be displayed as we play, and whether this change, and this change is either going to go 0 or 1, and I'll talk about that later, whether you're dead or alive, and then there's a random ball that kind of comes in. So I just want to show you what happens when I run it. So what I'm running it is, you'll see the score in the top left corner. I have this kind of ball, this green ball that's coming after me, and it's increasing size as it goes. And then there's going to be a random ball. Now this second ball that appears is just going to follow a kind of a random path, so I don't really know what it does. And the objective here is just to avoid the balls. Now of course, because I just asked for a simple game, we could have programmed, more and more balls every 5 seconds, but I just wanted to do 2. And you'll notice as soon as I get close to, say, the green, I lose, and what's my score is 19.4 seconds. Okay, so let's go through the coding and the logic here that's happening. So I started with my regular size and a white background, and now I runs if death is 0, meaning death has not occurred. It's going to run. And what it runs is it runs the font at the top that says avoid the balls, and it runs an ellipse that's at its x and y, and it runs another ellipse that is at my x and y of the mouse. Now this logic here is simply saying that if the ball, the green ball, is less than the mouse x, then the mouse x, its x value should be increased by 1. If it's greater, then the x value should be decreased by 1. And if the y is less than, then the y value should be increased by 1. And if the y value is greater than, it should be decreased by 1. As well as then after that, it increases the score by 0.01. You saw how fast the score went up, so I chose to go up by that. And then I have this change command. And what's changed is every time it runs through, it started at 0 and it's going up by 0.05. Every time it gets to 1, it's going to increase the size of the ball by 1. And then it resets its change value. Okay? Now once score is greater than 5, it runs the ellipse that is the random ellipse. And you'll see here now the random ellipse is going to go to a random x value and a random y value. And these values I don't know, so that way I can't predict where the ball is going to occur. And the same thing here is, but instead of this time, instead of judging where it is by my mouse, it's judging by where its destination is. And if it's less than x, it adds 1. If it's greater than x, it subtracts 1, and so on. Then I use the distance command. Of course, you could use some Pythagoras' theorem for this too, but it says that if my ball and the random ball is ever less than its size, and the score is greater than 5, then what ends up happening is this is saying that the ball has actually got to where it's supposed to be, the random ball, and increase its size by 10, and puts the change back to 1. And you'll notice up here, once it equals 1 again, it goes to a new random coordinate. Now this one is saying is that if my mouse is ever close enough to the ball that's green, or my mouse is ever close enough to the ball that's y, it creates death 1. Now remember, this whole code is only running if death is 0, so it has a conditional at the very beginning. Once death is equal to 1, it won't run any of this code anymore. And what it actually does now, it runs this code. If death is equal to 1, makes the background red, tells us our score, what our score is, and then it simply stops because there's no other code here. So that was a very simplistic game on how you can create, and you can kind of challenge your friends with the score.